Washington Commanders are Super Bowl contenders.
1 week after another. It's heart-stopping, jaw-dropping. Can't look away until the final play.
A sentence that less than a year ago couldn't have been anything other than a joke, yet it's become increasingly certain as we inch closer to the 2025 NFL season. After a surprise postseason run where they knocked off the #1 seeded Detroit Lions, Washington has put the entire league on notice, making their ambitions for the upcoming campaign clear with some early offseason business.
For Giambi Brown. That is an absolute unloading from Jeremy Chin.
After a year of drastic change with new ownership, a new coaching staff, and most famously, a new quarterback, it's safe to say that Washington is back in play, forcing open a Super Bowl window that had been sealed shut for the better part of 3 decades. And this is exactly why the Washington Commanders are Super Bowl contenders. Now, it may not sound ridiculous that a team that made it to the NFC Championship game is in contention to win it all, but it's important to just grasp how dire the situation was at the start of the 2024 season. While it would be the second full season without Dan Snyder in the picture, the team was expected to be suffering in the early stages of a rebuild. A 4-13 record in 2023 had earned them the second overall pick spent on LSU's Jalen Daniels, who was set to lead an offense with some great assets in Terry McLaurin and Brian Robinson Jr. Most of the rest of the team was made up of veterans believed to be past their primes, including the likes of Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, and Austin Eckler. Each of them signed to their own short-term deals. Dan Quinn and his coaching staff just had to improve from 4 wins the year prior, a total which they managed just 5 games into the 2024 season. And by all means, these wins weren't against fluky teams or just fluky wins in general. Jalen Daniels was setting rookie records as he outdueled the likes of Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray. In a Week 8 matchup against the Bears, he even bested the only man drafted ahead of him with a dramatic Hail Mary, which seemed to be the turning point for their season.
Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line, and the ball is caught! Caught! It's a miracle!
Washington won each of its last 5 games to secure a spot in the playoffs while handing the division rival Eagles their only loss since week 4 in dramatic fashion. The Cardiac Commanders lived up to their name in a wild card matchup against the Bucks before stunning an electric Detroit Lions crowd in the divisional round. And yes, while they were ultimately outclassed by Philly in the NFC Championship game, the simple fact that they had made it there as the 6th seed was an achievement in and of itself. Jalen Daniels won Offensive Rookie of the Year and one of the best debut efforts ever seen from a quarterback, while all of the veterans showed out with 4 players named to the second team All-Pro roster. And that's the thing too, having a quarterback on a rookie deal gives the team and just front office a lot of wiggle room. But that's also the thing, is they kind of had to decide how aggressive they wanted to be in the offseason with this just win now approach that they had. To some degree, that was decided for them as OC Cliff Kingsbury elected to stay put in DC and stick around for another year of excessively thrilling action. This meant that it was time to go to work for GM Adam Peters and company, who had began their offseason moves with some familiar faces. You see, Peters had been the assistant general manager for the San Francisco 49ers prior to joining the Commanders. The Niners have shown exceptional talent evaluation skills in recent years, able to find value late in the draft, a skill which the Commanders were hoping has carried over into their front office. Yet, 2 of the blockbuster moves of this offseason in DC involve players drafted in early rounds by San Francisco. Starting off with Deebo Samuel, who Washington gave up a 5th rounder for, Deebo rounds out the Commanders' offense perfectly, complementing Terry McLaurin's dominance on the outside with a tough presence in the middle of the field.
Every year. And the things that he's done, not bashing anybody, not saying nothing about nobody that's been here, but to consistently do what he do with all the quarterbacks that he's had is for sure. That is tremendous.
Samuel has a big body to aim at and is a yard after the catch specialist who could even offer something to an already versatile rushing attack. The name of the game is definitely going to be trying to keep him healthy as he's played through his fair share of knocks ever since an injury-riddled 2020 season though. Even then though, he is still widely considered to be past his best, and this franchise has a knack for reviving careers as of late though. If and when he is available, he can certainly make a difference when he's in the game. One of the more curious offseason moves, though, came with another former Niner as Washington signed free agent Devon Kinlaw to a 3-year, $45 million contract. The 14th overall pick of the 2020 NFL Draft hasn't exactly lived up to the hype he had coming out of South Carolina, but Kinlaw is a physical specimen at 6'5", 319 pounds, but he struggled to replicate a solid rookie campaign in a career hampered by injuries and inconsistency. Given his size, he could prove valuable at clogging up the line of scrimmage, but hopefully to help make a difference against Philly's potent rushing attack at least twice a year, so he'll seriously need to step up and prove he's worth the hefty price tag. And even as we look at it too, Washington was absolutely miserable against the run last year, conceding the second most rushing yards per game in the league. His contract suggests that the front office is hopeful that Kinlaw can change that and deliver on his potential, a gamble which isn't entirely surprising considering that it's spearheaded by the same man who drafted him in the first place. Both Kinlaw and fellow defensive tackle free agent signing Eddie Goldman have deep roots in DC, making this move of personal importance for both. The other free agent signings they had too are just kind of helpful in plugging holes that they needed to fill for this upcoming season. Right guard Nate Herbig joins on a 1-year deal to hopefully add depth to an offensive line that was serviceable in 2024, but definitely could have been better. Dietrich Weiss will also be joining Kinlaw as part of a new defensive line on a 1-year, $5 million deal. Sorry if I mispronounced his name also, it's a little bit tougher with that first name, but adding that kind of talent off the edge should make their pass rush more effective than it was last year, giving Joe Witt Jr. even more toys to play with. Will Harris joined from the Saints also on a 2-year, $8 million deal intended to replace the departing safety of Jeremy Chinn. Chinn was the team's second leading tackler in 2024, leaving some big shoes to fill in Washington's secondary. If Harris can step up and replace his output, this deal could prove great value for the money that they did sign him for. Otherwise, I mean, truthfully, the biggest moves that were made by this team were by re-signing the veterans that helped accelerate this rebuild last year in DC. Jeremy McNichols, Marcus Mariota, Noah Brown, Zach Ertz, and the timeless Bobby Wagner all re-signed to short-term deals early in the free agency period. Gone are the days of Washington locking up washed-up stars to multi-year deals. Instead, they have built a core of experienced leaders to guide a talented young group into a new era. And that's the best part too, is that some of their best moves that they made this past offseason all came in the form of trades. We did briefly discuss the addition of Deebo Samuel, which truly does add a new dimension to this offense. Jaden Daniels appeared to be more than comfortable in Cliff Kingsbury's scheme, and the addition of a Swiss Army knife like Deebo Samuel to a unit led by one of the league's finest offensive minds should make for box office viewing. Samuel has since said he's more motivated than ever following the change in scenery, which should usher in even more explosive play for the Commanders. Especially for the fairly low price of a 5th-round pick, this trade has potentially huge upside for Washington. And truthfully, one trade that they made this offseason that it was a little bit more expensive, but it's going to help them shore up that offensive line was the one we're about to discuss right now with Laramie Tunsil. They received Tunsil in a 4th-rounder from Houston in exchange for a 3rd and 7th-rounder in 2025, as well as 2nd and 4th-round picks in next year's draft. That is quite a haul for the 31-year-old, but it's hard to put a price on protecting their young superstar. Despite the Texans' offensive line playing extremely subpar football last season, Tunsil has been the gold standard of consistency in protection at his position. He ranks 2nd among left tackles over the past 3 years for pressure rate allowed, and although he led the league in penalties in 2024 with 17, he is still a supremely talented lineman at a premium position that the franchise needed to lock down. And I mean, even with rookie Brandon Coleman putting in a solid shift after being rotated to left tackle, Tunsil is just so much more of an upgrade as Washington wisely prioritized the safety of their sophomore signal caller, who, I mean, truthfully is already tough to bring down to begin with. While Washington's move for Marshawn Lattimore took place before the 2024 deadline, its repercussions will be pronounced this offseason. That's because the Commanders received Lattimore in a 5th-rounder for their 3rd, 4th, and 6th-round picks in 2025. And while he wasn't at his best this past season, battling injuries which hurt his consistency, Lattimore is still the one Pro Bowl corner to play for Washington since 2010. Like, truthfully, it's just a position that had been neglected too long by this franchise, and Commanders fans will be hoping that an offseason with the team will yield a better return in the upcoming season. He not only filled in a position of need, but afforded stability on the outside, which let their rookie Mike Sanstrilli enjoy an impressive debut campaign in DC. It definitely was a costly move, but certainly not a complete waste of the draft capital they did give up. And speaking of the draft too, after a staggering hit rate in the 2024 rendition, Adam Peters and company are trying to repeat and make the most of that opportunity once again. And yes, while their trades have seen their pick stockpile decrease to just 5, tied for the second fewest selections in this year's draft, the front office aptitude and talent evaluation evaluation will likely see them fill in some of the remaining holes on their roster. The departures of De'Ami Brown and a couple other receivers spells a serious need for young offensive weapons. And yes, while the addition of Debo is great, they could go with picking up a speedy deep threat who can stretch the field, allowing the rest of the offense to flourish. I mean, despite the front office's admirable efforts to address depth issues across their defense, the team is still fairly thin in the secondary. Picking up young, hungry guys who can benefit from the mentorship of the likes of Lattimore and Will Harris would be a smart money move, but there's no better time than the draft to get younger at the position. And that's the thing too, last but not certainly, Washington's gonna need some new edge rushers. While they've secured the interior of their defensive line and to fortify them against the run, there's no denying that a show-stopping talent who can get to the quarterback could truly take this team to the next level. Joe Witt Jr. loved to blitz last season with the 5th highest percentage in the league. This didn't yield its optimal return though, as they were fairly middle of the pack in sacks and pressures, something with the addition of an elite talent off the edge that could really help with. And who knows, if they can hit anywhere near the rate they did last year in the draft, the Washington Commanders will be a serious force to be reckoned with in 2025. While they are in the division of the reigning Super Bowl champion Eagles, it's important to remember that they were the last team to beat Philly back in week 16. Add to that a Cowboys team that just got George Pickens and the perennial chaotic New York Giants, it's tough not to make a case for them to challenge for the division once again. And yes, while opponents will have more time to analyze Jaden Daniels' sensational rookie tape, there's no doubt that the former Heisman will do everything in his power to prove that his debut effort was no fluke. He now has even more weapons at his disposal, better protection in front of him, and if the front office gets the draft and all of their offseason business right, an incredibly well-rounded roster that can go toe-to-toe with anyone else in the league. Add to that the exact same coaching staff that was responsible for a dramatic turnaround last season, consistency which few teams atop the NFC can match, and who's to say that the Washington Commanders don't do one better and win the whole damn thing.